with Too Good To Go. I'm hoping we're going to learn lots and lots about food waste, and I know Adele's got a little quiz, so hopefully you'll all get involved in that in a little bit. So I just want to do a little bit from us, from the support team at Uttlesford District Council, just so you know who we are and kind of what we've got on offer at the moment, just before I hand over to Adele. So as I say, welcome everybody. We at Uttlesford District Council have got a small team of 3 of us. There's myself, Andy, who's also on the call, and Sarah, and we make up the economic development team or the business support team here at Uttlesford. And we are on hand to obviously help with anything we can do to support you as a business. I've owned a business in the past, so that kind of helps with my knowledge. And then we've got an array of kind of everybody's experience, and we all kind of take on different bits of the roles. So I'm sure one of us will be able to help you and with anything that you might need to ask us about. If you want to find out a little bit more about what is on offer, then the best place to head is our website, and then you can contact us through there if you've got any questions. But on there, there's all sorts of information, from the support that's available locally to finance options that are available, including our grants, which I'll mention in a minute. We have got information about sustainability and going green and reducing your carbon footprint, which obviously we'll talk about a little bit in this webinar. But there's lots and lots of information. There's an events calendar that helps you see what's going on, whether that be workshops and webinars like this locally, or also in-person events that are happening locally. So we've also got a startup guide. There is a support guide as well, a business support guide, but both are free to download on our website. So do take a look at those. They might point you in the right direction of, as I say, different training opportunities, networking groups, that kind of thing. We also have a business directory on our website, which is something we've added recently. This is business to business, but also it's resident facing. So if you want a free listing, then please do sign up. If you follow the link that's on there, I will share these slides afterwards. Follow the link, then you can just fill in a small little form, and that will then give us the information, and we'll populate the directory. It does take us a little while because there's a small team of us, but we will put it on there eventually. We've got 3 grants that we've got funding still available for. We've got the startup grant, and we've got the High Street Premises Enhancement Fund, and we've got the Low Carbon Workplace Grant. So if you want any more information about those, please do head to our finance page and have a look. And again, we can answer any questions if you contact us if you've got any specific questions about those particular grants. There is a business exhibition in September that we're just mentioning. It's part of our North Essex Economic Board activities, and we're working alongside our colleagues in the various different districts in North Essex to bring this together. It's business to business, so you can either go and have a stand if you'd like, or you can just go along as a member of, well, you know, registered. Another thing that we are doing here at Uttlesford, myself and Andy are hosting a bite-sized business support session every month. It's on the 3rd Wednesday of every month, so if you can't make them all, then please do come along to one. It's at 10 o'clock. It's about 45 minutes long, and we have a key speaker each month, sorry. Next month is Knockholds HR. We're hoping to get them along. We've done a session on apprenticeships. We've done a session on social media strategy. So it's a different kind of theme each month, but do take a look at the events calendar because it's all going to be on there. Last thing to say before I hand over to Adele is that we have a newsletter that goes out every other week, pretty much. Sometimes it's every 3 weeks, depending on what information we've got to send out, but we do keep it relevant, and so please do sign up for our newsletter because it is a great way to stay in touch and up to date with everything that's going on and available to you as a business. So that's everything from me. If you've got any questions for me, obviously we're around at the end of this session, or send me an email. And I think all of you've got my email address, or the business email address anyway, because that was where the email came from this morning. So thank you all for joining us today, and thank you, Adele, in advance for this session. I can't wait to hear what you've got to say. So without further ado, I'm going to pass over to Adele from Too Good To Go, who's going to help us hopefully reduce our food waste within our businesses and make a bit of money while doing so. So I will stop sharing, Adele, so that you can share yours.
Perfect, thank you so much. And just bear with me for 1 second while I get the technical thing done. Hopefully you'll all be able to see my screen.
We can, I can see it, yeah.
Perfect, amazing. Okay, now. Perfect. So yeah, as Rachel mentioned, my name's Adele and I'm from Too Good To Go. I'm based at, I live in London. We have an office in London. We've also got an office in Manchester and in Bristol, and then in lots of different countries around the world. But for a little bit of context, I work specifically with independent businesses in London and the Southeast, helping them to reduce their food waste by using Too Good To Go. And today I'm just going to talk a little bit about food waste in the UK, as well as providing an overview of what it is that we actually do at Too Good To Go if you're not familiar with us. And so this is just a brief agenda of the workshop today. So I'm going to kick things off with a little food waste quiz, just to make sure that everyone is awake and not already daydreaming about the weekend. I know it's tempting to be. And next up, I'll look at food waste in the UK and what Too Good To Go does to tackle it. Finally, finishing off with a Q&A, and I've prepared a few discussion points as well. I'd love to hear from the participants as well, and yeah, hopefully we can get an interesting conversation going around food waste. Let's see. So the issue with food waste. Hopefully, you will all be able to join my quiz by simply scanning the QR code with your phone, if possible. This is the first time that my colleagues use this Slido tool a lot. This is the first time I've actually done it myself. So hopefully everything goes to plan. Perfect. And there's no escape. You can see who's joined and who hasn't. I'll join as well. And I made the questions a few days ago, so I maybe can't remember all the answers. Perfect. Well, if anybody wants to join, I think you'll still be able to. But yeah, I can go ahead and kick off the quiz. It's not difficult. It's not like a test or anything. It's just for fun and hopefully sort of raising awareness about the numbers that we're facing with food waste in the UK. So let's see. At the moment, let's see. You can't see the first question yet, can you? No. Okay.
No.
Perfect. So the first question should be up on your phone now. So how much food is wasted yearly on a national level? So that's in the whole of the UK, and that would be in tons. And you've got, I think, eight more seconds to make your decision. So we can see that I think the most common answer was 8.4. It's actually 10.7 million. I think none of these answers are particularly great, but it is sad that it is actually the largest number up there. Next question would be, okay, and we've got a leaderboard as well. So well done, Andy. The next question is, which of these items most frequently goes to waste in UK households?
I put something and now I wish I'd put the other thing. So if I get it wrong, I'll be cross.
Amazing. Sorry, it's so fiddly. So I'm just keeping you all on tenterhooks. Okay, no one got the correct answer.
I knew it was when I put bread. I knew it was potatoes. I wish I put potatoes because then I thought about what we waste.
Yeah, I
and
did
we
the
waste
same.
potatoes
Yeah.
loads.
Yeah, so that was one that definitely surprised me. I don't know why I'm answering these incorrectly on purpose because I do know the answer, but yeah, it's potatoes. Okay, amazing. Next question. Well, so Andy is still leading the pack. What is so previously the first question was about the volume of the food waste, and this is in terms of a financial perspective. What is actually the value of the food wasted yearly across the UK? So most people went for 42.3. It is actually 21.8. So it's not quite as bad as 42, but still quite a considerable sum that it's costing businesses all around the UK. So definitely not ideal. Still, Andy. Okay, this is about date labeling and sort of awareness in the population. What percentage of the UK population actually knows what the use by date label means on the products that we buy? Okay, so most people have gone for 46%, and I can confirm that is right. So it is the lowest number, which I think, like as we'll see later, I think contributes greatly to the issue of food waste. Of course, it's not the only factor, but there is a lot to be said about the lack of awareness and knowledge in terms of the population, in terms of what these labels actually mean. And next question is, what is the percentage of food waste which is happening at the household level due to confusion around date labeling? Okay, so most people have gone for 76%. It's actually 41. So it's not the largest chunk, but it is still a really considerable amount, and so much could be avoided if we did just increase the education around that kind of thing as well. Still, Andy leading the pack, 3 out of 5. And I think this is the last question, or the second last question. So how many people are food insecure in the UK? So food insecure meaning lacking reliable access to a sufficient quantity of affordable, nutritious food. So we've got most people saying 5.2 million. And then next is 9.7. And I think we can all agree that none of these numbers are what we would want to see. That's like a staggering amount of people. 5 million, I think, is more than the population of Scotland. So it's never ideal. But the answer is actually 9.7 million, which I think really is shocking when you kind of like think about it truly. And when you think about the amount of food that is going to waste while so many people are food insecure. So I think on the final leaderboard, we have Andy coming in champion with 3 out of 6. And so congratulations. Apologies, I don't have any prizes for you, so it's just kudos. Perfect. So let me just go to the next slide. So I'm now just going to like elaborate on those questions. I hopefully that they were somewhat, thought-provoking about the actual numbers and the figures involved. We can all probably agree that there's some pretty shocking statistics in the UK when it comes to wastage, and it's true across the world. It's definitely not just us, and I'm sure we're not the worst either. But what's really important is to understand the impact of this. So as you can see on this slide, globally, 1/3 of all food is being wasted. So first of all, this does have a detrimental effect on the environment. So food waste being responsible for 10% of greenhouse gas emissions. So by tackling food waste, we can just directly tackle climate change. From a social perspective, there's people going hungry every day, like we saw millions of people that are food insecure, while so much food is being wasted. So we have enough to feed everyone. We just need to organize ourselves better. And finally, from an economic perspective, and we all know that money talks, wasting food ultimately costs us money. So in the UK, this is according to 2021 prices, food waste cost the retail industry 0.74 billion. It cost manufacturing 0.85 billion. And last but certainly not least, it cost hospitality and the food service 3.21 billion. So clearly there's money going down the drain just with food being wasted. So at Too Good To Go, our mission really is to empower everyone to fight food waste together. And I think at this time, it's never been so important. As you can see here, it's something that customers view as important as well, 96% of customers. So it's increasingly important for businesses to actually respond to what their customers are looking for and show that they are actively working to reduce their food waste. Similarly, we found that a unanimous 100% of industry professionals agree food waste is not just a challenge, it's a defining issue of our times. And in the context of the ongoing climate crisis and where food waste contributes, like I mentioned before, to 10% of all human-caused global GHG emissions, our efforts are both a business imperative, but also a necessity when it comes to the environment. And finally, I mentioned, money talks. We can see that financially food waste deals a blow. So store managers said that around 2% of net sales were lost monthly, according to our research. But it's likely that this figure is actually even higher due to inaccurate reporting and a lack of compliance. And there's an estimated 25% of UK grocery sales, as an example, that aren't being sold at the full price. So losing money for those businesses every day. So this brings me on, this is the context for why Too Good To Go, why it was founded, and the vision that we have in the company of a planet with no food waste. So I'm just now going to provide a little introduction overview to Too Good To Go. Could I have a little show of hands of maybe who's used Too Good To Go before, maybe as a customer, as a business? Okay, I can see some heads shaking. So Andy has used it before. Yeah, amazing. So that's what I'm here for, to provide the information. So for those of you who aren't familiar with us, we're an app basically which allows businesses to sell any surplus food that they have for 1/3 of the full retail price. So our partners sell what's called a surprise bag, which customers can reserve in the app, and then they come and pick it up during the collection time, which is set by the business. So usually maybe that would be like the last hour before they close, the last 30 minutes, even the last 15 minutes, depending on what works best for them. And here are some stats about us so far. So as you can see, we're the world's largest B2C marketplace for surplus food, and we've saved 3 meals every second globally. We're in 18 countries as it stands, soon to be 19. We're expanding into Australia this year, which is really exciting. So the countries are mostly European. We're also in the US, Canada, and then soon to be Australia. And through the app, since we started, customers have saved 346 million surprise bags, with 41 million of these being in the UK. We have 98 million registered users, with 15.8 million of these in the UK. And last but not least, we have 169,000 active stores on the app, including 23,000 in the UK. And we work with a mixture of like big companies. So ones that we're known for working with would be like Aldi, Greggs, Starbucks, Costa Coffee, etc. But I think really the heart of Too Good To Go and is often the independent partners that we work with, those local coffee shops, the local businesses. I know myself, before joining the company as a user, those were the ones that I was drawn to and attracted to more, and I think they really are the lifeblood of the app. We're proud to say that we're the 7th most downloaded food and drink app in the world. So behind some household names, which I'm sure you recognize, like McDonald's, Uber Eats, and Starbucks, there's also some more American brands there that have made it into the ranking. And as I mentioned before, our concept is based around the surprise bag. So this allows our partners, to have full flexibility. So customers can't go into the shop at the end of the day and say, I want this, this, and this. They get a mix and match of what's left over that the business would put into the bag. So the business simply fills up a bag, or maybe it's a box, just whatever that they have that they usually use as their takeaway containers, with a mix and match of what they have left over that day. And the only rule really is that customers pay 1/3 of the full retail price. Of course, if it's a use by date, that means that the product could only be given if like the use by date was today, I could only give it to a customer at the latest today. But if it was a best before date on the product, there's more flexibility. So even if it was approaching the best before date, or even just past the best before date, maybe if it was like crisps or snacks or more long life items, then those could also be sold on the app. So we have, for example, we work with breweries and coffee bean manufacturers as well, that, for example, might have a lot of extra stock which is approaching the best before date, and they can also use Too Good To Go to help shift that stock. So it's important we often talk about cafes and bakeries, and I think those are the sort of businesses that people often associate with the app, but actually we will help anyone that has surplus food. So we work with manufacturers, breweries, local coffee shops, huge supermarkets, also universities, co-working spaces. Anyone that has food waste, we're happy to have you, basically. And the question is, why would businesses actually find Too Good To Go beneficial? So first of all, if this is like the last point, of course, reducing food waste. But in addition to that, I think, first of all, it's a great way to find new customers. So not only do businesses get more exposure by being on a super popular app, having their branding there, having more information about their business, we found that a large proportion of users actually return as regulars after picking up a bag. So in the instance of it being a coffee shop, maybe they won't have been there before, they'll pop in to pick up the surprise bag and they'll think, oh, it's lovely here, I love this space, like I'll have to come back here next time I'm meeting my friend in town for a coffee. Same with a hotel brand, for example. We work with lots of hotel brands, and it just builds that sort of awareness of the hotel. If maybe they live locally and they wouldn't necessarily go and stay there, but maybe next time they're planning their 50th birthday party or an engagement party or whatever it would be, they would consider that hotel and maybe have it more in the forefront of their mind than maybe they would have otherwise. As I said before, money talks. We all know that instead of food going in the bin, the businesses can recover some of the money which would otherwise have gone down the drain. Of course, the customers are paying 1/3 of the retail price. It's not a life-changing amount of money, but over time, it certainly adds up, and you can quite easily be getting an extra grand, 2 grand, 3 grand in revenue just from the food which would otherwise have been going in the bin. And finally, obviously, it's just a great way to reduce food waste. It's an easy solution that businesses can use to reduce this and reduce their waste and reduce the impact on the planet as well. So as you can see here, it's been calculated that saving one bag from going to landfill avoids the same carbon emissions produced as charging 320 smartphones. So sometimes it's useful to just think of it in a slightly different way, and the impact is quite staggering. So this is what the app actually looks like from a customer perspective. So, or this is what the process would look like from the customer's perspective. So they would have the app downloaded on their phone, and they can browse stores nearby that would maybe have surplus food available. They just select their chosen surprise bag. On there they can see the price, they can see the collection time, etc. And they would just prepay for that in the app. And at the collection time set by the store, they simply turn up, they say, I'm here to pick up my Too Good To Go bag. And they're just on the screen, it would ask them to just swipe a little toggle to show that they've actually collected the bag. And from the business's perspective, there's no admin to do. It just automatically all gets updated in the system. And so it's super easy to manage from that perspective. In terms of from the store's point of view, they would have an account which they can access on your mobile, on the tablet, on the desktop, literally whatever is easiest for them. We usually set businesses up on a soft schedule. So for example, it could be they have one surprise bag a day, or only on certain days of the week. For example, I work with a market stall in Essex, and I think they're just doing a Wednesday and a Saturday, and the bags just appear on the app automatically according to their schedule, so 24 hours in advance of the collection time. And that just gives the customers plenty of time to actually see it on the app, see that it's available. But then the businesses have full flexibility. Obviously, if they run out, they can very easily just reduce the number of bags that they have available, or if they realize that they're going to have more, they can increase it. It's literally just a plus or minus button in the app. It's super simple to manage. And ahead of the collection time, they simply would prepare the bags filled with any surplus and then wait for the customer to come in, and like I said before, just show them the receipt on the app, and yeah, hand over the food, and everyone's happy, hopefully. So the app is Too Good To Go's main product at the moment, but we are always looking at how we can innovate to achieve our goal of reducing food waste. And I think that's something which originally really attracted me to this company, is that it's not just an app, it's like more of a solution from all different angles. What can we do to actually tackle this problem? So one other campaign that we have is called Look, Smell, Taste, which you can actually already see on products in supermarkets. For me, it's become a bit of a fun game of seeing where I can spot it, but it basically encourages people to follow these common sense steps. So first of all, look at the products, smell it, give it a taste before throwing it out. And I think the last thing that I saw it on was on a Tropicana carton. So if you're in the shop later and you see a Tropicana carton, do keep an eye out for our label. And we're also working on a solution for retailers, which is called Too Good To Go platform. So it's a solution which basically enables retailers to unlock value from their excess inventory. So it's software that tracks and redistributes surplus food. So it helps with the expiry date management, intelligent discounting, and it helps businesses like manage their stock and their surplus more. And it also links up into the Too Good To Go app, so it can, you know, advise, okay, you have this surplus food, do you donate it, do you put this amount in donation, this amount on Too Good To Go, etc., and just takes that headache away from businesses. And finally, we're also always developing industry partnerships, trying to come up with new innovative ways of tackling these issues together. And like with this workshop, we just like to speak to people and see what's happening, hear from you as well, how you're working to reduce your food waste and be more sustainable. So yeah, thank you for taking the time to listen. Next up is if you have any questions for me, I'd be really happy to answer them. I've got this QR code if you prefer to write, or feel free to unmute and ask a question live and direct. I'll be happy to answer it.
I was going to ask Adele, how do people, if they want to get their business on the app, how do they go about doing that? What's the best way to?
Yeah, for sure. What I would say is basically just to so if it's someone that's here, feel free to contact me directly, essentially, and I'd be super happy to like answer any questions, talk you through the process. It's super simple to set up. It's like it's ridiculously quick. If you turned around to me and said, Adele, I want to start, I could have it ready like on the app by this evening. So it's super quick. But otherwise, we do have you can just visit the website, register through the website as well. But what I can do, Rachel, is I can provide a link. I think there is a link like in the event sort of profile, so maybe we can circulate that as well, because then I'll know that it's come directly from this workshop. And
yeah, I'll share that, and I'm going to share it to anybody that hasn't turned up as well that I know is interested in the event, so I can share that.
Perfect.
I see something in the chat or not? Was there something, Andy?
Yeah, there's a question in the chat. So what will be the risk factor for surprise bag if we consider it on a big scale implementation?
For sure. And is that in terms of, it would be great for a little bit more context for the question in terms of, is it concerns about like customers not enjoying the bag, or I don't know if you can provide a little bit more information.
Yanni, do you want to unmute? Would that be easier, or?
There's typing.
Sorry to put you on the spot there as well. Just wanted to make sure I can answer it. Actually answer the question and not just drone on about something which isn't answering your question. So social security concern. So if you mean about like, I don't know if I fully understand the question, but I'll try and answer it the best I can. So in terms of maybe if it's like allergens or something like that, people not knowing what they're going to get, what I'd say is that people really who have allergies don't tend to use Too Good To Go just because of the surprise nature of it. But also what the procedure that we have is that when people view a surprise bag on the app, there's a little button that they can click with information about ingredients and allergens, saying, if you have a question about allergens, just to ask the business, exactly as a normal customer would when they come in and they're picking something. They can ask in the surprise bag that you prepared, you know, is there any gluten, for example? And you would just answer them exactly as you would a normal customer. If they're not able to accept the bag for any reason, you would just direct them to our customer service, and we would be able to offer them a refund for it. So it's what I would say is that it so rarely happens. I have no actual like direct experience of it ever having happened, but we have the process in place there that they would just ask like a normal customer, and then if not, we handle all the customer service side of things, and we'd be able to offer a refund. Let me see if there was any questions. No worries. And also it's worth saying in terms of, you mentioned on a big scale implementation, I think we would guide businesses through the process. We're happy to offer training calls. If it was, you know, several sites that you wanted to use Too Good To Go at, we would absolutely make sure that all the staff were trained on exactly how to use the platform and address any concerns from that side of things. On the screen just now, so I can't. Does it show what the questions are or not yet? Let's see. I'll just.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Oops. Yes.
Sorry about that. The mic was going off and on. I don't have my visual technical issues. My name is Marion Epperfor. I am joining from Georgia, actually. And so the question, I love this, by the way. The question I have is, I participate with a nonprofit organization here in Georgia by the name of Saucy. And what we do is we collect food items and distribute it to needy families. So we take food waste. So instead of the, stores throwing it away, then we actually can get it and we give it to needy families. The question I have is, as an organization, is there a capacity for us to buy these bags, so multiple bags? Because it sounds like maybe this might be an individual consumption bag. Is it possible to buy multiple bags?
So yeah, absolutely. Like if there were the bags available from if a business had several bags available, you are able to buy, all of the ones that they have available. What I would say is, I know in the UK, I'm not 100% sure in terms of our US team, but we are working with some charity partners as well on donation side of things. So if I could definitely put you in touch with your sort of local office in the US as well to look at what they're doing from that side. I don't know to what extent they've rolled it out in the States as well. But yeah, I'd be very happy to put you in touch with the relevant people who would hopefully be able to answer the question better than I could.
Yes, thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Thanks, Marionette. Hi, Nikki. I think you have a question.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi, yeah. Probably a silly one, really. I've just looked at the app because while we're talking, I just brought the app up because I'm quite happy to tell it to my staff here. But looking at it, a lot of the offers are quite late in the evening. One of them's 10:30 in the evening till 11. One's 9 till 10. They're quite late. So I'll be honest. I have to start work at 6:30, so I'm in bed by that time. So I just wondered if there was any form of criteria that business, there's a time limit, or I mean, I know my staff would be quite happy to get involved with that, but obviously we work early hours, so it wouldn't be ideal for a lot of us, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no,
I could just
absolutely
see that being an issue. That will be a stop. Do you know what I mean? That would be a bit of a wall.
Yeah, so we have no limit when businesses, when we're partnering with business in terms of the collection time. It's totally up to you. For example, I work with an Indian restaurant in Dagenham, and they have a morning collection, an afternoon collection, and an evening collection, just because even in the morning they still have some things from the night before that are still left over. They have a lunch service, and then they have some waste there. And there's an evening collection around 10:30 to 11 as well. I work with a chicken shop that has a collection from like 3 to 4 a.m. We have so many cafes that the collection is maybe like 1 to 2 p.m. So it really is, the customers want to see more collection times as well, right? Yeah. Because I
think it's a restriction, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's something that's going to, thank you. Something that's just going to, if someone goes to look it a couple of times, and every time they go to look at it, they can't do anything till 10, 11 o'clock at night, it's just going to probably be a bit bit discouraging.
No,
well, I get what I understand what you're saying. I do understand what you're saying.
One thing I'd say, Nikki, is the whole point of this, and obviously bringing the awareness of this app to Ottlesford, is to increase the amount of businesses on there within our area. So hopefully it will mean that there'll be more kind of slots available, more choice, more delivery slots. So the whole idea, so share with any businesses that you come across that you think could list themselves on here, and we're obviously going to be doing the same. So yeah, just kind of help spread the word, because I think word of mouth is one of the best things anyway.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Yeah, I think, completely to echo what Rachel was saying, I think the more variety of businesses we have, then there'll be something for everyone. I think often in smaller towns and cities, it might be, we see that the only options tend to be maybe like the Aldi, the Morrisons, the Greggs, and we want more, we want more independent businesses, so that there's, something for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks, Nikki. Was there any other questions at all? I don't think any have come through.
No, there's no more in the chat, but If anybody has any questions after, they can either send them through to us or obviously Adele. I can get you in touch with Adele anyway. But yeah, do get in touch with anybody or either of us, and we'll follow up. I will send out the slides. I'll also, if Adele sends them to me, because I don't think I've got your slides, but I'll send them out, and I'll also share the link for the recording so that you can forward that on if you'd like, as and when, to anybody else you feel like might like to know a little bit more about what they're offering. But yeah, spread the word, everybody.
For sure. I did have like just a couple of discussion points. You know, obviously there's no pressure, but it would be great to hear a little bit more about you guys as well. If I know we've touched on it a little bit, it'd be great to hear, you know, is sustainability something that your business is taking into consideration at the moment? Are there steps that you have taken already? Are there steps that you're planning to take? In terms of food waste, are there any procedures in place? And if not, are there solutions that you would like to see? Maybe Too Good To Go doesn't fit for your business, but is there something else that you've always thought, oh, that would be amazing if we could have that? So I don't know if anybody has anything that they wanted to share.
I think for us, we're setting a business centre in the backside of nowhere, which is absolutely beautiful. And there are other businesses here. I come from a recycling background, so I'm quite passionate about this kind of thing. And we don't have a food waste facility here, which is why I was interested to see today as well, to just see what else, you know, we could do. But being quite rural, I don't even know, to be honest with you, how our rubbish is segregated. There's no apparent, we've only been here a couple of months, so it's nothing's apparent. So I don't believe we have a separate food waste here in general. So I'm not quite sure, you know, how we would go about doing that, to be honest with you. I'd need to probably speak to the landlord and see what the neighbours do. There's nothing obvious.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, it is an issue because I mean, personally at home, I've got a recycling bin, a waste bin and a food waste bin. So it's really straightforward. Whereas I think a lot of other councils and areas don't have that. They're still mixing and matching and stuff like that.
No, it's the same for me where I live. Here in London, there is no food waste, and I've grown up in Scotland, just in the council that I was in, there was always a food waste bin. And I'm talking about like at home, this isn't even for business, right? It's so frustrating not to have that food waste bin, even in my own home, because there's just so many scraps and the potato scraps, you know, and all that kind of thing. It's just, it's
well, everybody has lunch here and it's all going in the bin. You know, I'd be quite happy for it to be separated out, but equally, you know, it needs to be collected for us to do that. There's no point separating it because at the minute there's no facility to collect it. So I don't know. Obviously, you know, with your home, what you have to do with businesses, it's a little bit of a more grey area, I feel, specifically with food waste in businesses, which I think probably businesses have a large quantity of food waste because everyone's eating lunch no matter what. So
definitely,
I know we do here have a fair bit. So I don't know. Something for us to think about.
Do you mind me asking what your business is?
No, not at all. So we are a transport provider. We do school transport, passenger transport, home to school, predominantly special needs.
Okay.
So it's just the field staff obviously are out driving, but we just have we've got a fleet team, finance, contracts team. So there's a few of us here.
Nice. For sure. Thank you for sharing.
No problem. Thank you for inviting me.
Did anybody else have anything to share?
Yes, I have something to share. So I already shared with you a little bit about the organization. Basically, I just told you the name, but the organization does a lot. We work with youth, we work with families, and we help them in a range of things. Obviously, food is one of those things, homelessness, one of those things, career work readiness, STEAM, exposure to different job opportunities, so on and so forth. But what I wanted to add to this part of the discussion is, so I'm really looking forward to work with the representative who's on the US side. So I also do some work with agriculture and teaching about growing your own produce and things of that nature so that families can learn how to be sustainable themselves in homes. But one of the things I've noticed is that a lot of grocery stores are actually discarding produce. So I would love to see how produce could get into something like this. A lot of times they think about the bread and they think about the milk,
Mhm.
and to get those kind of supplies, but the produce, they're just always discarding produce, and I've seen it, firsthand. So
Yeah.
that's something I would like to see, how we can actually save that produce from going to
Mhm.
waste. Mhm.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And I think with I know at least the retailers, the supermarkets in the UK that are using Too Good To Go, for us, including produce in there is absolutely no problem. And I think many do. So it would be great to see more and more, because there's so many, fruit and veg shops and things like that all across the world. And yeah, like you say, so much of it does end up going to waste, and it's not the most obvious thing that people think of, first of all, when it comes to donating.
Yeah, and I guess maybe because sometimes with food, the spoilage is quicker with some of the produce. So I guess maybe they're just not thinking about it ahead of time, how they can capture it and save it. And then the other thing I wanted to share too, when we had the quiz and the question about the waste, and it was milk, bread, I can't remember what else was on the list. I chose the milk. I chose the milk because here in Georgia, some of our schools are now trying to capture the milk before it goes to waste, because in the school system, we are losing a lot of milk. The children, they just do not drink milk.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think with what we do and focusing on businesses, it is like, it's a large part of the problem, but then there's so much more that we aren't able to tackle. So household waste being a huge part of it, and then those kind of organizations, you say, like schools and things, where logistically, it would be much more difficult, people coming to pick up.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we're also doing a lot of work in terms of the education piece, the like look, smell, taste campaign, and we have like a newsletter as well, like a blog. We're always just trying to share, and on our social media as well. I know the team do a lot of bits on, how to use up these ingredients, or like different times of years, seasonal produce, what might be going to waste. For example, Halloween, what can you do with like the innards of your pumpkin, and that kind of thing. So I think there's so much more that can be shared, isn't there? Like in just I think often it just a lot of the time comes down to education, doesn't it?
Yes, I think so too.
No, thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Adele, and thank you everybody for joining. If anybody's got any more questions, obviously they can follow up after the session. But yeah, it's been amazing. Thank you for the quiz. I really enjoyed it. I got every question wrong, I think, apart from one. So I was great, wasn't I? Yeah. Well done, Andy. You got top marks there. But yeah, thank you all. And yeah, do get in touch if you want any more information, and we can put you in touch with Adele.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.